Internet's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, today's episode is someone with a large arsenal of credit cards at their disposal. I'm always looking for the next best card to add, especially, a hidden gem, something that could be of use, kind of gold-plated credit card setup. But with that being said, we come across a lot of credit cards that are almost good, but they actually end up being terrible, but they're so close to being good that it's just razor thin with a few changes. That's what we're going to look at today. Credit cards that are terrible, but are so close to being good. So, of course, if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, of course, feel free to play along down below. I'm looking for cards that, again, as I said in the open, are like very close to being good, but they fall short because one or two major flaws that, again, we don't work there, but could be easily tweaked. Now, again, as a cashback player, most of these cards are going to be cards that would end up in the cashback space, if you will, but I will give you one travel option as well. Now, what am I using for my criteria or rubric? Well, I'm looking at, usually these are going to be co-branded cards because we've talked about cards from the major issuers at length. I'm talking about hidden gem type cards. So, well, this kind of invalidates that point. But like the Amazon card is like the gold standard for co-branded cards, being 5% back at Amazon. But even the Target Red card or the Red Target Circle card being 5% off at Target, and even having a debit card like that, that's a gold standard, a sleeper card, if you will. And I'll also throw out the PayPal debit card as well. It's a debit card, but it's still 5% back on a category of your choosing, and there's a decent amount of categories. So if you can put those products on debit cards, I don't know why they can't extend the credit cards. And I'm looking at larger brands as well to make it fair. I don't think we can beat up on very small places, but the large companies, that have the potential, we would think from the outside, to do this to their credit card products. So what are an example? Well, I said I'd give you a travel one, so we'll start there. Airlines has been done, everyone's done that. Hotels have been done, but the cards that seem the weakest are cruise cards. And I didn't have any one in mind in particular, but you look at them, and a lot of times they're just, standard 2x back, which you can get on a simple double cash card, right? For whatever, cruises, as I understand, are very popular. I just took a friend to the airport like a month or so ago, so she could go on a 2-week cruise, which is crazy to me. I've never been on one. Maybe I should go on one just so I can judge it, but I just really don't have much interest. But these cruise cards seem like maybe the economics don't work, but they seem like untapped potential, or they're just simply not giving nearly the amount of rewards or benefits or even trying the way that airlines and hotels do. It seems like an untapped area, and I would imagine these companies are big enough, and as I'm told, cruises are still very popular, and granted, it is probably the cheapest way to go to a good number of countries all in one go. I would think these cards would be better. Now, as far as how to fix them, well, that's the tough part, because, again, I haven't really been on a cruise too much, as I don't know that people are going enough that you would have, gold or medallion or diamond status with Carnival Cruise, for example, right? I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm sure there's something there. Having never done it, I'll leave it up to you guys, but those cards are historically weak, in my opinion. Now, one card that's already been killed off that I was always surprised was so mismanaged was a Chase Starbucks card. Right, it was discontinued a few years back. I'll put up this press release for you that I found when it came out. But you can see here the new card benefits. They had the intro offers 2,500 stars after spending $500 in 3 months, equal to 20 food or beverage items. They give you bonus stars, 250 stars when using the Starbucks Rewards card to load their register. You got 1 star for every $4 spent outside, and 1 star for every $1 digitally loaded to their registered Starbucks card in the Starbucks mobile app. So to me, it sounds confusing off the start. Are you using their credit card to load your Starbucks balance in the app? Are you just swiping with the card? They gave you gold status and some barista picks as well. The problem is this thing fell apart when it was $50, a $50 annual fee card. And I simply don't think this type of card needs to carry an annual fee. Now, the rewards earnings, I don't know the value of stars. I don't like coffee. Coffee smells great, but I just don't care for the taste of it, so I don't go to Starbucks. However, $50 for this type of card, it seems like it needs to be free. You're not going to get a massive amount of earnings on this card, or it has to be rigged somehow because, again, coffee, well, I mean, I see the TikToks, right? Apparently Starbucks is expensive, but relatively speaking to how much money you could earn using this card elsewhere, it's got to be, balanced out accordingly. But I still think going through and saying it's a 1 star for every dollar digitally loaded to their registered Starbucks card in Starbucks mobile app. Like, why not just use the card? So it seems like it's a little confusing. It's a little extra step and an annual fee. This card, I believe, would have worked fine if it was free. The star system's probably fine. I would aim it as a dining type card, plus, you get your Starbucks rewards. And then I do like the perks of every so often you get like the barista pick of food or things like that. Get you coming back, adding new things, trying new things that you might buy the next time. Starbucks is just such a huge brand, and we hear the folks talking about, yes, you should make coffee at home. Well, clearly people aren't going to do that because there's a bunch of people at Starbucks. So it's always surprised me that this card failed. With a few tweaks, I think this could have worked. Now, that'll take us to our next card, which is very interesting because this card actually had all the tweaks made that it needed to have, but they didn't tell anybody as far as I can tell. That's the PlayStation card. So there used to be two. It was a Sony card and a PlayStation card, but they did basically the same thing. And so it was good because it was giving you 5x back on Sony items. But back then, when I covered this 3 or 4 years ago, PlayStation or Sony wasn't really selling direct to consumer. Like this camera, this microphone setup is Sony, and you couldn't really buy it from Sony. Now it seems you can buy this stuff from Sony directly, or of course Best Buy, Amazon, whatever. So back then, what you would do is you would make your purchase, take your receipt, upload it, to their portal, and then they would issue your points that way. Now, as you can see, they've simply changed to 5 points for every dollar spent directly at PlayStation and the Sony store. It works significantly better. I just don't know why they didn't tell him. Or maybe they did and I just didn't see it. But I haven't seen this change talked about wherever. So this is a good card. It's a little bit niche, but it does help because, again, Sony sells a great number of things. You can even pick a cool design. I'd probably go with the Kratos one from God of War personally. So they did fix it. They just didn't tell anybody, which is really interesting. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a niche, but given the power and popularity of PlayStation and Sony devices and things of that nature, I think this is a good one to have on the list. The other thing I'll say is I would also throw in a tie-in potentially to PlayStation Plus, again, with PlayStation being their flagship product most likely, especially with the struggles of Xbox, who's coming up next. Maybe a tie-in where you could, get something from PlayStation Plus or reduce membership, things like that would probably help. But again, you're only get so much with a free card. But again, back to the deal, Target, gives you a discount on their membership if you have the card. And if Target can figure it out, I think Sony can figure it out too. Now, the next one, we won't spend a ton of time here, but this is the Xbox card as well. When this one came out, we reviewed it, and I do think it's a good card. It's just so niche because, as you can see, it's got everything I want to see. 5% back, digital Microsoft Store. Now, Microsoft used to have their own stores. I think they didn't do nearly as well as the Apple stores did. So, you're probably only buying stuff from the Microsoft store. It's a little bit limiting. I would probably have added, instead of a 3x streaming, I probably would have tried to throw an electronics credit on there instead. Not a credit, but a multiplier. So if you can't get it at Microsoft, you can go get it at Best Buy or something like that. So it gives you some incentive to go direct to Microsoft, but it's not the end of the world if you can't. They do have a happy young lady with blue hair, which is an interesting choice, but hey, we like to see the happy ladies. Another one here, I would simply say there should be a tie-in with Xbox Game Pass. If you're not a huge gaming person, neither am I, but Game Pass was a really good deal where you could basically get access to a bunch of games and Xbox Gold and all that for a few bucks. It was like 10, 15 bucks. Then they recently doubled the price, and that outraged a lot of people. I think it's a perfect time to say, like Target, if you have our card, then we'll lower the price of the membership, right? Something like that. No spend requirement. Like Target doesn't have a spend requirement. You just, hey, if you're paying for the membership, you have the Target card, it's just less. Otherwise, it's pretty niche, so it's pretty tough to do anything there, but still, I think there's untapped potential, especially given the popularity of games. I think there's probably could potentially be a tie-in for Twitch. It's where people go to it's like YouTube, but for streaming video games, and maybe even a tie-in instead of dining delivery service. It's more of a focus on. Well, again, if you have the electronics credit, that could cover people getting their streaming gear or things of that nature, or maybe again a tie-in where you get like a credit or something to Twitch, but again, Microsoft, Amazon, probably competitors. So a few more here, moving right along in the tech space. The Best Buy credit card. Again, the Best Buy credit card, pretty good when you look at it. It's 5% back in rewards. They have two. We want the Best Buy Visa card on the right. It was 5% back at Best Buy, 3 back at gas stations, 2 back in dining, 2 back at grocery. So that 5% back is exactly what we like to see. Like the last 3 cards had 5% back on their flagship brand. The problem with this one, if you scroll down a little bit further, is you redeem the points for like these gift certificates and they're stuck in, Best Buy land, which I guess is the same for Microsoft as well. You're going to redeem stuff for, Microsoft. But again, I don't like to see a card restricted and you can't move the money out as cash back. It seems cowardice almost. At some level, you're telling me your value proposition isn't good enough, so you want to lock people in. I understand you don't want customers to leave, especially when they have so many options. But again, to Amazon's credit, which I know is a little bit, the gold standard of this, if you will, you can cash out your cash back directly to a bank account, or you can use it at Amazon checkout. I think that's fair. I'm giving you the choice. I'm saying, hey, Amazon has enough stuff that you'll want to use it here, right? Or if you want statement credit or again cash back. Having is locked in, and then paying it out in these little $5 certificates is also annoying. Just do a points balance like everyone else, and then you can use that at purchase, no minimum. So if you're buying anything at Amazon or anything at Best Buy, you can go ahead and just use your points at checkout to reduce the price. Seems like the easiest thing, especially when, at Best Buy, you kind of are competing against Amazon to a degree. Now, the last thing I bought at Best Buy was my TV 2 years ago, and that's really, they sell it on Amazon, but, I think for buying big ticket items, you're better going with a store. It's easier to walk in and talk to somebody if things go wrong than dealing with an Amazon shipper person and everything of that nature. But again, I think that would be the way to go. Get rid of these little reward certificates, let people cash out. Easy enough. Best Buy also does have a new membership type deal. There's got to be a tie-in there as well that they could do. Again, maybe knock $10 off the membership. Also, I think it's a miss that the card is just a blue card. I feel like it should have been their yellow Best Buy tag. Like their gift cards used to be that. They should have made the card being that exact old school Best Buy logo. I think that would have been a nice touch. All right, one more here. Well, actually, 3 more here. eBay. eBay used to be the place to go. Now, a lot of this has changed because, one, it's very hard to talk to anyone on eBay if something goes wrong. The eBay fees are out of control versus what you get. You can't charge more fees. Again, they're charging sellers more fees, which is passed on to the consumer, fine, but then I still can't talk to someone at eBay, so what are the fees for? I'm not getting anything for that. And some of it's not eBay's fault. Back in the day, like they didn't collect sales tax, and now they have to collect sales tax. Not their fault, but still, all that stuff. I used to buy a lot of things on eBay, and so the eBay card, not terrible. I mean, it's 3x points per dollar spent at eBay. It might be a bit much just to have them push to 5%, but again, we've covered so many other cards here that are 5% cards that I think it's doable. 5% back on eBay. Pretty good. My tie-ins, again, it's a no annual fee card, so you're only going to get so much. I would like to see something where, like, hey, you can get reduced shipping fees maybe. Not every seller covers shipping or, wraps it into the sales price. And as someone who used to buy on eBay, shipping, when I saw shipping, that would always bother me. So maybe if you had the card, you got reduced shipping, something like that. We're not going to get everything for free here, right? I don't think we're going to, but I think there's enough of a tie-in. eBay is enough of a marketplace that could have been a sleeper card as well. My last 2, the Apple card is going to upset some people. It's not so much that the Apple card is bad. It's just that it seems like when they launched, it got forgotten about. They were always supposed to go back and add more 3% categories via Apple Pay. And they added a handful, I think 2 or 3, but nothing of really substance, I would say. Now, that could partly be because Goldman Sachs and Apple spent so much time fighting and trying to break up, so it could potentially change when it moves to Chase, but they said that's going to be a 2-year transition. I don't know if it'll really take 2 years, but that's what they said. So it's not that it's a bad card. I do think of course, and we've listed a bunch of cards again. There are 5%. I would like to see push to 5% back at Apple. They do enough. They try to do enough unique things like paying out your cash daily, which I don't think is that big of a deal, but other people would disagree, that it probably saves them from being awful. I wouldn't classify this card as awful. I would just say it could be better given the flagship brand that it belongs to. Again, Amazon, Target, that whole thing, PlayStation, Xbox offering 5% back, which is basically Sony and Microsoft, which are comparable companies to Apple. There you have it. Those are some cards, as I said, I think are very close to being really good sleeper cards. Again, none of these cards are going to be your flagship cards by any means, but again, the point is, as we go through and look at cards, is to gold plate our setups, find categories where we're not maximized, and pick up a card and add to it. And these cards definitely have potential. They may work for you still in their current form, so let me know that down below. Is what other cards you've seen. They're so close to being good, but they're just a little bit off. So anyways, guys, that'll do it for this one. So, of course, if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel, as we're posting content just like this every single day, every single week. And, of course, every single day would be way too much. Every single week, and, of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And, of course, every single day over on Profitable.com, which is, of course, the channel's blog, linked down below for you. And on the homepage, we post news stories, credit card offers if you want to get started on some decent cards, and, of course, bank promotions. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for this one. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.